Hi, my name's Addie Pates, and this is a story for you. The story follows a young man who is training to be a rabbi. In his studies, he passed through the land of Trid, far-off land, beautiful land. There, he fell in love with the gorgeous princess of Trid. The two wanted a life of domestic bliss together. However, he needed to travel on and pursue the rest of his studies. But he promised her that he would one day return, a full-fledged rabbi, and the two would wed. Well, soon after he left, a terrible ogre kidnapped the princess and took her to his lair at the very top of the tallest mountain in Trid. The king was made pretty upset by this, and so he sourced the third bravest knight in Trid to go rescue her from the terrible ogre. And so the first bravest knight in Trid hiked his way up the mountain, drew his sword, and said, "Ogre, you must return the princess to her people." To which the ogre said, "No!" And then he kicked the third bravest knight in Trid down the mountain. Well, wouldn't you know, the king was disappointed by this, and so he found the second bravest knight in Trid and sent him on a quest to go retrieve his daughter. And so the second bravest knight in Trid hiked his way up the mountain, drew his sword, and said, "Ogre, you must return the princess of Trid." To which the ogre said, "No!" And then he kicked the second bravest knight in Trid down the mountain. Well, the king was starting to get really worried at this point, and so he found the first bravest knight in Trid and sent him on a quest to go retrieve his daughter. And so the first bravest knight in Trid hiked his way up the mountain, drew his sword, and said, "Ogre, you must return the princess of Trid to her people." To which the ogre said, "No!" And then he kicked the first bravest knight in Trid, you guessed it, all the way down the mountain. Well, it was around this time that our young hero returned to Trid, now a full-fledged rabbi. But oh, he heard what had happened to his beloved, and so he said that he had to go retrieve her. The king laughed in his face. What could you do that the first and the second and the third bravest knight of Trid couldn't? The rabbi said, "Well, I have to try." And so meekly the rabbi made his way up the mountain, turned to the ogre and said, "Ogre, you must release the princess of Trid back to her people." And the ogre said, "Okay." The rabbi was confused. He said, "Well, ogre, why are you letting her go with me when the first and the second and the third bravest knight of Trid could not convince you?" To which the ogre said, "Silly rabbi, kicks are for Trids." Thank you.